And I even had a conversation with Ben Collins, the Stig, and I was like, I disagree with you immediately, sir.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning into Rev Reflection. It's a show about cars. And today, I'm joined by my friend Jason Fenske.
What's up, Braden?
What's going on? I'm sure the people watching this video are watching it because you're here.
And for Braden, you did the burnout in my S2000 for the thermal video. Without you, my channel's nothing.
Well, okay, I don't think that the second part seems a little far, but dude, that was
okay.
That is like one of my highlight moments. Like that, my YouTube channel totally fell off and flopped, and that's fine. I've come to terms with that. But if there's anything I did at the end of the day, it's a 1 minute long burnout inside a garage in your S2000.
That tore a hole in their shop and permanently ruined their floor.
Yeah. It's funny, actually, one of the, Pat, he doesn't rent that shop anymore, but he, I was like, yeah, you guys can do burnouts in here last time I saw him, and he's like, not anymore. The shop owner kind of caught wind of that one. So, it was the last burnout in that shop, but it was a great one.
Wow. Yeah, it was a good one. It was a good time.
But, yeah, well, okay, if you want to go watch that video where I did a huge burnout in Jason's S2000, go ahead. It's pretty sweet. You can find it on the Engineering Explained YouTube channel, and
it's filmed with a $50,000 thermal camera, so it's like a pretty sick shot.
I remember you asking if I want to do the burnout, 'cause you're like, I'd rather give somebody the car that's $10,000 so I can handle the $50,000 camera.
And meanwhile, a little piece of hot rubber slings off the tire and right onto the lens. And these lenses are insanely expensive. And I noticed it when I was recording. There's like a little like thunk, and you can just see this hot piece of rubber stuck on the lens. And I was like, oh no. Well, I got to keep filming and just hope that this thing's fine.
God, yeah, did it come off okay?
Yeah, it was fine, and they didn't say anything. So
I was going to say the people at Fleer are going to be one of the 9 people that sees this video and be like, "We did what? Hold on." Ironically, now it was an S2000 in good shape, so now it's worth $50,000 too. Apparently,
there we go. I know. Should have kept it all this time. I bought that for 11. I bought that car for 11.
That's a good deal, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, at the time it was probably pretty on par, but now it's like a clean S2000 for 11 grand feels like a pipe dream.
I mean, I sold it for 20.
Well, it was supercharged too, right?
Yeah, it was supercharged. Yeah.
Everybody knows mods add money.
Yeah, exactly. Mods add tons of money. No, I mean, actually, the front bumper was repainted and PPF put on the whole car. So, like, the paint got in good shape and then protected. And so, like, I feel like that is something S2000 owners would love. It did have a decent number of miles on it, though. It was well over 100. So it wasn't like it was, like, perfect shape. S2000.
Ooh, garbage then, yeah.
Yeah, those Honda engines, they don't last. Very
notorious for being pieces of shit. Dude, oh my God. I just wrote a whole rant, actually. This is a great part about Rev Reflection being my website, that I can just do whatever I want. So I
rants are good. It's healthy. Let it out.
Yeah, and I spent like 600 words talking about how stupid it is that people are paying $100,000 for Integras. Come on, dude.
Okay, I'm so glad you brought this up, actually, because my first car was a 99 Integra, and I thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool if I went and bought my first car again? And I started looking at prices, and I'm like, what the heck? I bought a 99 Integra with, I don't know, let's say 80,000 miles on it when it was 2007. So this is an 8-year-old car at that point.
Right.
Not that old. I bought it for $7 grand. And then I look at prices today and I'm like, wait, now it has 250,000 miles on it and it's 12 grand?
Yeah, dude. So I had...
And these are just base GS, like not GSR. Yeah.
I had a 95 or 96 Integra SE. We've done plenty of Integra bonding. We don't need to talk about that. But I bought it for $1,000. And then it hit 200,000 miles. I drove it to Los Angeles from Boise and back. And then I sold it to my cousin also for $1,000. And that car is sitting in his mom's garage right now, 1,000 miles away from us because he lives with me, and is now worth 4 times what he paid for it. And there's no engine in it at the moment. But just because it's a leather interior coupe, someone would pay a stupid amount of money for that.
I don't understand. I guess I don't understand why. Do you understand why?
No, and like it's such a good car. I'm sure maybe people
It is a good car.
saw my video about why it's better than a EG Civic, which is based on the same platform, right? That's probably had some driving force. It's got like at least 10,000 views. So I have to think that I had some part in
there's
this.
10,000 people right there that are just sitting on Craigslist waiting for it to pop up.
Yeah, all 10,000 of them happen to be like hedge fund investors that were shopping for Integras and just, dude,
whatever it takes.
Yeah. There was a Phoenix Yellow Type R that's like pretty notorious because it sold on Bring a Trailer for $112,000.
Wow.
But really what drove me to write this rant about it was that somebody put up a modified one that it was like lightly modified with Mugen parts and stuff like that. And I think it had like 16,000 miles or something on it. And it got bid to $102,000. And they had the audacity.
It didn't hit reserve?
Yeah, isn't that
Are you kidding me?
crazy? How do you have the audacity to be like, no, that's not enough for my Acura Integra. Get out of here.
Actually, I just saw one. When I was in my little hunt looking for an Integra, there was a really nice, clean example that went up on Cars and Bids, and it was modified pretty extensively, but it was in pretty good shape, only 2 owners, and like pretty low mileage. Like I want to say in the 50s or something. And it only went to 18. I think somebody found something wrong. It was a GSR. Somebody found something wrong with it, and then it kind of fizzled out. But I was like, oh, this one pricing seems fine. Like, all right, 18 for a decent, good shape GSR. Like, okay, I can get it. 100? No, get out of here.
Honestly, it's sad that we've been reduced to being like, yeah, 18 grand, what a steal. But there's Type R's even selling on Cars and Bids for like 20, JDM ones for under 20. So I'm like, you're buying the low mileage one. Like I wrote in, you're appreciating the appreciation, not the car. And there's nothing more disrespectful than taking a car that was so precisely engineered to have the best handling characteristics that it possibly could and parking it and letting it do nothing.
Yeah. Eric the car guy bought his. I don't know. I don't know if the title was salvaged or not. I know there was some rust issues with it, but it was 17. He got a Type R that ran great for 17, fixed it up himself, got it in good shape, and it's like, all right, way to go. Like that seems like a ton of fun.
He has a GSR as well, right?
Yeah, he's had like, I don't know, 6 or plus Integras. Hey, he's had a ton of them.
I respect that.
They're addicting.
Yeah, they're great cars. Like the EG Civic, I also got myself into some hot water with the Honda people when I drove an EM1 Civic Si. I was like, this sucks. It's just like a Civic that revs to 9,000 RPM. Who cares?
Which is the EM1? I'm bad with this.
99 to 01, I believe.
Oh, okay. So
it's
I was
like
thinking about the new ones. The 1.5 liter SI, I'm out.
Really? Okay, that's interesting. But yeah,
I haven't driven the newest, but I have driven they both, I think the previous 2 generations have the same engine. And so the first gen of the 1.5 I drove and was not into it.
That's kind of a bummer to hear because like the FK8 Type R is amazing.
Exceptional.
Have you driven FL5?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Love it. Love it. I mean, honestly, I debated a lot so I have a GR Corolla, and I debated a lot between the FL5 and the GR Corolla. And the only reason is because I drive in the snow a lot. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to get all-wheel drive. Like, I think the Type R has a little more drama.
Interesting. Oh, yeah, okay. I see. That's interesting that you brought that up, though, because I have a whole list of things to talk about if somehow we ran out of things to talk about. And this is going to
spend 4 hours on Integras.
This is going to be a very biased conversation because you own a GR Corolla.
Yep.
And I very outwardly think it's the coolest thing on the planet.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I'm obsessed with that thing. And here's the thing. People say you're biased. Hold on. Let's back up for a moment. Okay? You buy things because you think they're cool. You don't think things are cool because you bought them. Hopefully.
Well, except for the people paying for $100,000 Integras.
Yes, exactly. All right. But, yeah, like I I have, and you as well, like you're in this world driving different cars. When you have the luxury of getting to try out a lot of things, you have a much better like needle towards like what is good, what is bad. Because when I bought my first new car, a Subaru STI hatch, I was like, this thing's the greatest thing ever. And I bought it
Right.
and I was like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. And then like I started driving a ton of cars and I was like, ooh, STI, especially this 2.5 liter engine, that thing just, it's rough. So I'm just like, okay, it sounds great. It's cool at 5,000 RPM, but at 3,000 RPM, it's trash. At 4,000 RPM, it's like starting to come alive. And it's like, yeah,
Dude.
the thing, I wasn't that into it.
The STI bros are coming for you after
I know. They get upset, but I owned it. All right. I had it for 2 years and I got rid of it because it was like, meh. And I replaced it with a cross track.
Yeah, well, it's only reasonable answer.
Now they know I'm a real enthusiast.
Yeah. Dude, like my buddy Taylor has an actual stage rally car, a WRX, and he took the engine out when he was building the car, and like all the Subaru people were blown away that he wouldn't swap to an EJ25. And he gets in like his opinion. No, not an opinion. It's correct. The EJ25 sucks, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. Now, here's the thing. For all the STI fanboys out there, I will say, when I've driven it on, like I did an ice lake driving experience, and I drove it at Dirtfish, both of those scenarios, it was a blast. Now, it was heavily modified in the Dirtfish scenario. So it's like, is it an STI at that point? Like, yes. I mean, the body is there, the engine is there, the transmission is there, but like the suspension is completely different. There's so much, different wheels, different tires, different brakes, blah, blah, blah. Very different at that point. But the ice driving experience was basically stock with studded tires, and it was a true joy. But on roads, and that's why I like the GR Corolla. Like, I feel like on roads, it's actually a blast.
Yeah, and it is. So I've like press cars. I've driven a lot of cool stuff. I had a 24 GR Corolla Circuit and a 25 GR Corolla, whatever premium, the mid tier one. But
with the auto.
No, I drove a manual.
Cool.
I kind of want to drive an auto one just to see what it's about. But
I did. It was fine.
Yeah, that's kind of what I anticipated it would be like. But it's funny because the premium one that I drove, like, it had the vents and the carbon roof, so like it was basically a circuit at that point. But I've driven a lot of really cool cars, but nothing has quite for like 3 months afterwards had me going, God, it just like maybe I should just spend $45,000. I really think it's fine.
It's expensive. I have the window sticker right beside me. $47,177.
And now,
I mean, okay, but it is a 10K appearance package for everyone that's like, oh, 50 grand for a Corolla. Like, hold on, I got the Circuit. It has a 10K appearance package. You can delete the 10K appearance package and have the same experience and be just as happy.
Have you had the drivetrain overheat warning at all?
I have not. I guess I've only had it in cooler months so far. So.
I know somebody who launched one
one of the press cars overheated on you.
I've heard that one of them when it was launched one time and it was 45 degrees outside, that it said all-wheel drive system overheat and switched to front-wheel drive. I was like, interesting.
I've heard, and I'll tell you, unfortunately, off podcast, I've heard some stories, but I don't know if they're true or not, so I don't want to just share them to the world.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, you have to assume the press cars have been through a lot. And
yeah. I mean, there's special prep. Yeah. I think so.
I don't even think assuming is like fair. It's just like guaranteed that car's had the piss beat out of it in the hands of other people. So
yeah. Another thing I didn't realize, like, and I won't name names, but some manufacturers will like require that you put octane boost in with the fuel when you hand the car over.
Really? Interesting.
Yep.
There's such a bunch of fun little tidbits.
And so you get these like little performance bumps, like just a little bit, so that, your 0 to 60 testing is great or whatever. And it's like, these are all things customers can do, but it's like, are they gonna?
Right. Yeah, I love when you get like a pre-production car and there's something goofy about it. Like I had one where the body color, there was overspray on the hood latch. I was like, okay, that's cool. Anyway, have you driven?
That same guy painted my garage.
Dude, you should see the house I live in right now. It's like the ultimate renter special. They repainted the ceilings, but did a pretty bad job, and also didn't put tarps down. So there's just white paint all over the tile floors. It's great.
I had a painter paint my garage. He painted over, the little garage sensors for the door so that if a cat runs through, it doesn't get squished. He painted over those entirely, just the whole thing white.
What?
He painted over the door handle to enter and exit the garage, so the whole door handle just painted over white. It was like, dude, are you crazy? Like, you couldn't have taped this off?
He must have sprayed it then, right?
Oh yeah, he sprayed everything.
Okay, I'm just imagining a guy using like a 3-inch roller. He's like, gotta get all the details.
Well, I basically just said I want everything white, and he took that to heart. Like, he was like, you got it.
Like, okay, you get what you asked for.
Yeah.
But so when I wrote about the GR Corolla, I called it the new standard for hot hatchbacks, and there was an uproar. Not really. There's a few people, but specifically from one gathering of car enthusiasts, will say, that took issue with that. And my question is, have you driven a Mark 8 Golf R?
Ooh. Actually, I don't think I have. I've driven this. Well, wait a minute. I'm trying to think if Charles's Humble Mechanic, if his is, I think his is 7.5. Is there a 7.5 also? Like,
I think so, yeah.
Okay. I think I've only driven the 7s. And actually 7 GTI, like, goat, so whatever. I don't have any hate, but Volkswagen ruined their interiors, like, objectively. So
why so?
All the buttons, they know this. They even know. They've come out and been like, oops.
My bad.
Yeah. Like, turns out people hate these atrocious buttons.
I understand where they're coming from, because they're like, the price, like you said, especially if you price out a circuit, a new Golf R is almost the same. I think it's actually cheaper if you fully option.
But like, are they that difference in performance? I don't think they are.
No, and the big thing that they're like, well, the ride quality is so much better with a Golf R, and the interior quality is
cool.
That's what my point is. The GR Corolla, like, I like it because it's like an authentic, true to form hot hatchback. Yeah, the interior's plasticky.
It's a little raw.
Yeah, and your back hurts if you drive it over a rough road. That's fine. It's like, that's part of the charm of it to me.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, maybe there's like, there's two paths where this can go, right? Because when we're all like in high school and reading Motor Trend and thinking like, ooh, hot hatches, that's what's up. There's a different interpretation versus, okay, now we're old enough and we can afford it and actually buy it. And you get in something and you're like, oh, this is a little rough. But like, to me, it's like the Volkswagen just goes towards like maturity, and the GR Corolla just goes towards like playfulness. And like, playfulness is such a rare, to me at least, I feel like in modern cars, a rare thing to feel, like something that genuinely feels playful. And like, ooh, like, get a little spicy, like, have a little fun. Like, there's a little unpredictability, but like, it's still fun. It's still controlled. I don't know. The Volkswagen is just like, everything's perfect. And it's just like, okay, yawn.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's almost too refined.
That's how I feel about the M2. Like, M2 is a good example of this, because I drove the new M2 back to back with the Integra Type S. And I got in the M2, I think, first. And I was like, oh, like, I'm so disappointed. Like, and I hadn't been driving press cars in a little bit. And so I was like, am I just like out of touch and like just think everything's boring? And then I got in the Type S and I was like, no, this thing's amazing. I love this thing. And so it was like, okay, the M2 is just like, yeah, it's fast. It's super fast. It corners well. It does everything but like perfectly, no drama. It's heavy. Everything's just like a little muted. It's like, yeah. Versus the Integra's like, it's chirping tires and it's like you're sliding a little bit and you're like, dang, this thing is like a blast to drive hard.
Yeah, dude, well, first of all, it's good to hear about the Type S, because I haven't driven one, but I really would like to. But I'm kind of bummed about it because I love the M2 on paper. I've also never driven one of those. So
I only drove the automatic, and then I've heard from those who I've chatted with that like the automatic's better than the manual, and I'm like, oh, okay, dang. Yeah, so I don't know. People don't seem that into the manual version of it. And I don't know. I thought the automatic was just like it was fast, but it's the same weight as an M4. It's the same power as an M4. It literally is just a smaller M4, but it's like, but you get no benefits of being smaller. So
right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
all right.
I guess
There's
from
my
that perspective,
rant over. Sorry to crush all the dreams of all the enthusiasts so far.
There's somebody that's like saving up a down payment for an M2 competition right now, and they're just like, okay, fine. I guess I'll just.
They'll probably love it. Honestly, like it's
I'll
fast
just
and fun. All
buy a
right.
$60,000 DC2 Integra instead.
Yes, that's the way to go.
Okay. I wanted to talk about something.
Focusing.
I needed. Yeah, sorry. Lock in. We've talked about this before, but I really need a clickbaity title. So,
Great.
you told me once that you are like not sentimental about cars. Like people are like, "Oh, you're going to miss this, you're going to regret it." And
yes,
I feel like that is sort of the uncommon stance as a car enthusiast. You're weird.
Yeah, I think
it's
people do get attached. Honestly, and like this is gonna make me sound ridiculous, but like if my GR Corolla disappeared tomorrow, I'd be like, whatever. Like I love it. I think the thing's awesome, but I would move on like without second thought.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. But I think this started when you sold the S2000. You were telling me. You're like, dude.
Yeah, because everyone was like, dude, people still will comment this. They'll be like, you're just upset you sold your. It's like, if I spent 50 grand on a GR Corolla, I could go do the same on an S2000.
Oh, I bet you got a bunch when you bought the ND, huh? Like, oh, he's coping.
Yes. And people think that, like, I genuinely don't think the ND is better than the S2000. And it's like, then why would I sell the S2000 to buy an ND? Like, it doesn't mean you have to agree with it, but clearly you must think that's how I think. Otherwise, why would I have done it?
Like, oh man, he's really coping, dude. I can't believe he's too lost in the sauce.
And it was more expensive than the S2000. So it's like, hold on, none of this tracks.
No, I think
ND is GOAT of like everything. But
dude, I didn't. So I drove one last year, the year before. I can't remember, but I've driven pretty much every Miata. I've owned 4 or 5 NAs, but I hadn't driven an ND to that point. But all I'd been told repeatedly was it was like so spiritually connected and feels so much like an NA that I was like, there's no way that's correct because it's such a new car.
Yeah.
And then like 10 minutes, I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever.
They're so silly and playful and fun. Yeah, I know. They're just so cool. It's like, I love that car as an example to prove to the entire industry that like things can be lightweight. Shut up. Like quit saying you can't do it and that modern safety is too hard to meet. It's like Mazda did it, 2,300 pounds. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Put up or shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
I love examples like that.
In a way, I'm kind of envious of your ability to just like let go of cars. Cause you know, my Fiesta ST, I bought that thing with 16,000 miles on it.
You love that thing.
Dude, I can't. It's like 8 years ago. I've put 240,000 miles on it since I bought it.
That's amazing.
It's still going. I just got the timing belt done. Yes, for all the people who are familiar with the fact the timing belt's supposed to be done at 150,000, I did wait till 235 because there was like this weird bell curve where Fiesta STs got really cheap and then they were discontinued. They got expensive again. A whole engine at one point was cheaper than paying the dealer to do a timing belt.
Timing belt.
So it's not like that anymore. So I finally just caved and did it. But I'm like, oh, I'm going to trade this thing in and buy a Maverick because we can talk about Mavericks too. But
we can talk about Mavericks. Man, I dropped the ball on that one. Yep, my timing was was trash. I am upset about it. And when I see them, I get upset. I'm like, dang it, that looks so much better. I think they look better too. I'm just everything about the new one. I know it is, but I love the new look.
I think that's another we'll call it a Jasonism where you like you don't love your cars That's the title. Jason Fenske hates cars.
Doesn't actually like cars and is a fraud.
But there's so many people in, like, I joined all the Maverick groups and stuff. I was this into, like, I'm buying one of these.
Oh, I love Maverick. Yeah, I'm all about it.
So many people are like, the 2025 front end looks ugly. And I'm like, you're just mad because your hybrid's front wheel drive. That's what it is, isn't it?
The few things that, we have the little cubby though. They will never take that from us. There's a little like pointless hole.
Yeah, the dash hole.
Yes, that fits literally nothing that we get. And the 25s, unfortunately, they have a bigger screen so they can actually see it.
Losers.
Yeah. The only downside I will say of the 25 is they got rid of the FX4 package for the hybrid Lariat all-wheel drive. And so you can't get stock 17s. Now, I don't know if you can still fit 17s over the brakes that it comes with. I would assume so, because why would it need massive brakes? It's a hybrid. But like mine came on 17s. I really like that. I don't want giant wheels on a truck. I think it's ridiculous. So I wish you have to get 19s now on the hybrid. And I wish they offered the 17s.
It's not even 18. That is kind of crazy large for how small the truck is.
It's a big, exactly. Like, and it's a big jump, and it's like, okay, yes, it's a city truck. All right, whatever. But like, still, sidewalls are cool, and why do we have to get rid of them?
Yeah.
I think we've gotten distracted though, because I think you were trying to talk about that I don't care about cars, and then we got onto Mavericks. Or don't get attached. And you were talking about your Fiesta, so I want to bring you back to if you had a point to make there. Sorry.
Oh, right, yeah. So I was like all in, like I said, Facebook groups, joining everything, reading all about them, and I just like, I started thinking about it more, and I'm like, I'll trade the Fiesta in. Yeah, but it's worthless now. It's been rear-ended 3 times. I hit a deer with it. I got, dude, in a windstorm, like a 6-foot construction sign that didn't have sandbags holding it down, blew right into the side of my car. I thought it was going to come through the windshield. So it's been through a lot. It's been mostly repaired.
It's seen some things.
It just got $8,000 worth of paint done last year.
Wow.
I didn't pay for it. My insurance handled it. Shout out insurance. Right. But it's still like a great trade-in value for that car is like $3,000. So I'm like, well, I kind of want to know how far it could go, though. So now I don't want to get rid of it. I've been through so much with it.
But that's a curiosity, not an attachment. I think it's probably more the attachment than that curiosity, is it not?
Yeah, okay. Dude. I just love
most
that
people
car.
are that way. Yeah, most people are that way.
I mean, there's cars I definitely was happy to get rid of. You've seen some of my eclectic collection in the past, but like, the Integra I was really bummed about, and it turned out rightfully so.
Yeah.
But, you know, someday maybe I'll have $100,000 to drop on when it does have another one. But
there's probably some better options for that amount of money.
But yeah, it is. So in a certain way, I'm envious of your ability to just be like, whatever, I don't care. Because like my Volkswagen, I have a 79 Volkswagen that hasn't run in like 8 years. And I built the bottom end of an engine for it like 6 years ago. And it's just been sitting, again, in Idaho in my parents' garage, 14 hours away from me. And it would be so reasonable and responsible to just be like, look, let's call it what it is. It's not going to get done. Sell it, right? But I'm just like, no, I can't do that. That's my car. That was my
logic.
Third car? I don't know. But I've had like 50 almost since then. So that's like,
wow.
I'm bad at commitment, but I've had that thing for quite some time.
Well, see, logic and laziness is like, that's what I'm living by, because the other side of it is I'm just very reluctant to get rid of my cars, because it's like a process. And that is the only thing that holds me up. Like otherwise, because I see so many YouTubers that are going through like, you know, however many cars a year. And I'm like, I can't do that. Think of all the time you've got to spend doing all this paperwork and like renewing all these tabs and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, all this crap, like it's such a process to buy and sell a car that I'm like, I don't need to do it that often.
Dude, I'm half convinced.
I say that having bought 2 cars in the past year, but that was
well, you know,
some old replacements. Yeah.
Did you just trade things in or did you sell them private party?
Well, I got rid of my Crosstrek, but I had that for 8 years. And I sold my Miata a while back and then the GR replaced that. But that was a couple years of nothing.
I'm half convinced Cars and Bids exists because as Doug's YouTube presence got bigger, he got tired of like tire kickers because he would like get a new car every year, the Doug car, and he's like, I'm sure was like, this sucks because selling a car does suck.
Yeah,
and
it does.
He just went to the extreme of creating an entire auction website.
I'll have an entire team that does it for me.
Yeah, that's my headcanon. That's so funny. Okay. Sorry, lock in again. That's such a funny transition. I've never noticed that I do that until you pointed that out. Recently, Adam Savage did a video with, I think it was Michelin. It was some tire company. It's like a 40-minute long video on Tested. I'm just curious how it feels to be the guy that if the tire company can't get a hold of you, the backup plan is Adam Savage.
Well, I got really distracted with what this question was because the second you said Adam Savage, it reminded me when you did that burnout with the S2000 that we started this conversation with, that camera came from Adam Savage. He was using it before me, and I was communicating with Fleer, and I was like, can I get this camera? And they're like, yeah, currently it's with Adam Savage, and we will send it to you once he's done with it. Because it's like a little press camera, I guess, that they just pass around to whoever needs it. So I got distracted. Anyways, fun little backstory that relates to that. So
that's crazy.
We were in his presence with that camera. Wow. What was the question?
How does it feel that to be the guy that when a tire company can't get a hold of you, the backup plan's Adam Savage?
Oh, wait, this happened?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. You're like the tire guy, right?
Okay. And they're working with, well, I'm working with Continental this year, and I worked with Continental last year. And honestly, this is going to sound like I've worked with probably 100 companies, if not more, like 50 to 100 in a paid capacity. Continental, truly, like, they're awesome. They get it. And it's rare to like have that relationship. And it's been super, super cool to work with them. They do everything right. And that is just so rare. Like, if you hear my thoughts about working with sponsorship off camera, it's like, is it always worth it? Probably not. There's so much stress that can be involved with different companies. But yeah, they're awesome. I don't think I answered your question.
No,
Adam Savage is great. Good for him.
It's mostly just a meme. I was like, well, we couldn't get Jason, so we're going to have to get Adam Savage.
There is the channel Tire Reviews. He doesn't have as many subscribers as he should, but he puts so much work into these videos. And the videos, I feel like they do get good views. I feel like more people need to subscribe to that guy because he puts in so much effort to get these really cool side-by-side comparisons. And yeah, his sub count isn't where it should be. So check out Tire Reviews is my
shout out Tire Reviews. Yes. Coming from the channel that this is going on, I don't know how much this is going to help, but please, by all means.
They're like, we know.
Yeah. We came here because of Jason, and Jason has already told us about it.
Here he is shilling off, Tire Reviews. Anyways, he's awesome.
I want to talk about future technology a little bit.
Cool.
Because obviously, constant engineering and rapid expansion of EV technology and all sorts of other stuff. And the first episode of this was with an EV mechanic, my friend Alex, who like actually digs in, dismantles motors and everything. It's nuts.
Sweet.
But you are kind of the guy that I like. If I'm like, oh, this is interesting, the first thing I'm going to do is find out if you've done a video about it. And if not, probably just ask you. So I'm curious, what about future automotive tech is like the most exciting of anything that's being developed right now? What's like the most exciting to you?
What's the most exciting? That's a great question. I mean, my another thing that I don't like is like classic cars.
Dude, you're canceled.
While we're creating a list of reasons why people shouldn't respect me, it's old and boring, right? So like my channel, when people ask like, hey, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I make videos about how cars work. And they're like, oh, like how to fix cars. And I'm like, nope, like how they work, like engineering basis. And they're like, oh, do you talk about like classic cars? And I'm like, nope, don't care about classic cars. It's like this conversation eventually leads to the only thing I'm actually interested in is like, what is currently happening? And I think I do find myself somewhere in between like caring about like what is that future tech, but also mostly like being most excited about things that are actually going to make it into production. Because so much we get these promises of, oh, in a lab, we made this solid state battery that had the energy density of gasoline. And it's like, no, you didn't. So I like seeing things once they're real. I think one example recently that's just super, super cool, and I feel like people don't appreciate enough, is what McMurtry did with the Spearling. And they did their little stunt where they drive this car upside down using suction. And it's like, they're selling this to people like, you can go, I mean, it's £1 million or whatever.
Right.
So very expensive. Like, so when I say you can go, it's a little bit like, not really, but you kind of can go and buy this thing. Like you are allowed, that's what I should say. You are allowed to go buy this thing, and you can corner faster than an F1 car at certain speeds, right? Like if you're below, I don't know, let's say 150 miles an hour, it's probably going to corner faster than an F1 car. And above that, the F1 car's got enough downforce to do better. I don't know what the exact number is, but point being, this thing makes 2,000 kilograms of downforce, weighs 1,000 kilograms at 0 miles per hour. So it's like, this is nuts. That's like, you know, maybe up to 4G braking. Like we don't comprehend that. Like, our cars today, the best ones on the road, they can stop from 60 miles per hour and maybe 100 feet. This could do it in less than 40 feet. It's like, that's stupid.
Yeah. Dude, have you seen the footage of it on the Top Gear test track against the GT3 RS?
Yes, and it goes around the GT3 RS on the outside, just like, boom.
Yeah, it
like,
looks like the Porsche is going 20 miles an hour. It's insane.
It makes a GT3 looks slow, and it's like, dang.
I do have to say, I'm sort of on the team of the people that are bitching in the comments of that video about
because it wasn't done with Aero.
No, because it's like it's kind of a cop out for it to drive 3 inches, and I understand the logistical issues of finding a road upside down long enough, but I'm like, but you know what we all wanted to see.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. I kind of look at that and like, it's like racing, and in racing there's a rule book, right? And the rule book says, here's everything you can and cannot do. Make the fastest car. And then what happens is clever people come up with clever solutions that the people who wrote the rules didn't think about. And they say, oh, no, that doesn't count. And this is one of those examples where it's like, no, technically they did it. And like, all right, from here on out, if you're going to say you drove upside down, you can't do it that way. Right. But they technically did do it. Like the rules didn't say it had to be at 190 miles an hour.
Yeah, I'm all for strategic rule interpretation, but yeah.
So
I'm
that's
just
how
like,
I see it.
It would be cool, though.
Yeah. It's not what everyone wants to see. So there's a channel like Driver 61 that has been talking about trying to actually make this happen. I mean, I think a ton of people have tried to make this happen. I actually pitched this to a TV show back in the day, and they didn't want to pay very much. So I was like, well, I'm not interested. But point being, everyone does want to do the upside down with Aero alone thing. And I think it would be cool for it to eventually happen. But in the interim, it was neat. And again, it's not like they designed the car to do that, right? That's just like a feature that like, oh, by the way, it can do this, just so you're aware. So I thought that was very cool. I think to answer your question, like there's like 2 big directions right now where things are going. And it's like, okay, if you're trying to eliminate carbon from emissions, what are the different ways you can do it? Electric, obvious. And then there's like hydrogen, synthetic fuel, that route. And so I think looking at those is really exciting. On the electric end, it's like, are we going to actually get much better energy density batteries? Because from a range point of view, with passenger cars, we don't really need it. From a range point of view with towing, we definitely need it. From a range point of view with sporty electric cars, all of them now just weigh so much.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, if we could actually make a Miata that weighs less than 3,000 pounds, has 200 miles of range, preferably under 2,500 pounds, preferably as light as they can just make it.
Right.
But has real range and is still light. And like, okay, it doesn't need 500 horsepower. I don't care. None of us have ever wanted the Miata. I mean, okay, maybe some, but it's like the Miata is good enough with 180 horsepower. So if it has 200 electric horsepower, like it's going to be quick. So if we could get a lightweight sports car with battery technology, I think that'd be great. And then on the other end, it's like hydrogen. I realistically don't think we're going to see a combustion solution. It takes up too much space. And then synthetic fuel is a real option, I think, for motorsport where fuel costs don't matter. People love to be like, oh, I'd pay it. No, you wouldn't pay $40 a gallon. Like, you just wouldn't. If it was today and it was $40 a gallon, there would be riots. Like, no question.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's the solution to everything is just infinite energy, right? We just need infinite energy. If we have infinite energy, we can do whatever we want and everything can be cool and carbon can go down. So we just need all the solutions that give us an abundance of energy at the lowest amount of money.
Wow, sounds simple.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't we just do it? Well, like even today, like I don't know what it is, but it's like 80% of all energy consumption is fossil fuels. Like it's an extraordinary number for the globe, right? And so if you look at that and then you try to make batteries that do this, like dang, it is a big number.
Right.
So yeah, there needs to be an abundance of clean energy production, and we don't have that if you want carbon emissions to go down, which like kind of enables whatever future technology path you want to go.
Well, it's interesting though. Do you think there's any path forward where synthetic fuels become reasonably priced, or is it just sort of?
I don't know. It's like no matter what, it will be so much less efficient than going from a power plant to a battery pack. But it's like if we can make energy cheap enough, and like solar costs have gone down, wind costs have gone down, nuclear is still super expensive. So it's like if that gets cheaper somehow, but these are things that I don't really research energy production and how difficult it is, but like it is a huge part of the equation that like most of us pretend to just ignore, and it's just like, oh, I say pretend, actually ignore, pretend doesn't exist. And it's like that part of the equation is what drives like our dumb habits of like, well, I want to go sideways. And it's like,
yeah,
well, you need energy. And where's that energy coming from? So yeah, I think that's a big part of it. On the technology side, I don't know. I don't know where things are going. I do think it's cool though. Like I brought up this McMurtry thing with the fan. BMW,
my favorite manufacturer.
Yeah, they love it when I pronounce it like that. They actually just made a fan car that they debuted at the Shanghai Auto Show.
Oh,
so I
really?
don't know. It would be weird if suddenly we all just started driving cars that had like 3G cornering.
Dude.
Like the highways will be nuts. It's just like
yeah, that could be. Oh boy, that's kind of.
We need clean streets.
Yeah, we really would. Yeah, pothole. That's gonna be a bad situation.
Pothole not good. Pothole not good. But also, these could all be actively cleaning the streets. Ooh. They're all vacuums.
Dude, they're Street Sweeper Social Club. That's a Tom Morello band. Yeah, you mentioned hydrogen there for a second. It makes me so sad because the concept is so cool. But
it is.
One of my favorite things to do right now is go on Facebook Marketplace and look how cheap that like brand new Toyota Mirais are right now, because they come with the card. You get like $15,000 worth of hydrogen refueling or whatever when you buy the car. And that used to be phenomenal. But I was just in Ontario, California, and I did the math. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it's like $300 to fill a Mirai now.
Hydrogen is insanely expensive right now. And so, okay, take this. Hydrogen is just a portion of synthetic fuel, right? You need hydrogen, you need carbon. So you are going to take that hydrogen, then you're going to have to find carbon from the atmosphere, hopefully. And so with that, then you're having another process. I think it's called like Fischer-Tropsch or something, where you combine this hydrogen and carbon, create your synthetic fuel, and like so you have many steps past hydrogen, and hydrogen alone is an expensive step to get to. So that's why the fuel cost is so high. Like it is just a very energy intensive process. Yeah. So when you look at hydrogen, it's like, it sounds really cool. And car enthusiasts love to be like, oh, hydrogen, that's the answer. Like, we don't need these electric cars. And it's like, okay, but like, are you going to drive with a 100-gallon tank on a trailer behind your sports car to have a good time? Like,
Right.
No, it's going to ruin the experience because the tank is enormous and it has to be enormous. Like, there's no getting around that.
And even if you have the logistics solved, like all the $4,000 2023 Mirais on Facebook Marketplace really tell you all you need to know about the cost of running a hydrogen fuel cell car.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it goes up and down a lot, but I think right now it's very expensive. I think the last time I looked, it was something like $30 for a kilogram of hydrogen, which is equivalent of $30 a gallon.
Yeah, dude.
Per gas. So it's like, yeah, I'm out.
It's really funny. I just read an article that was like I think it was the CEO of Toyota was talking about how China's like so rapidly developing everything and not just EVs. They're building hydrogen stations left, right, and center. And I'm like, this feels like a ploy to try and get people to buy more Mirais. He's like, we're running out of time. You guys have to buy the Mirai.
Yeah, and like, meanwhile, I haven't driven them, but everyone tells me that goes out and drives them in China that like China's EV industry is just like dominant over ours as far as like the quality of what you get and the price you get it for is like incredible. But
shout out BYD.
I haven't tried them.
One last touch on the Mirai thing is it was a few weeks ago I saw a billboard outside Los Angeles for a Mirai and it still said the best deal in the automotive industry or something like that. I was like, the audacity to say that at this point is crazy.
When it's going to depreciate 90% in a couple years.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that kind of, speaking of future technology, you know, there's Brightline is bringing a high-speed rail between Vegas and we'll say the Los Angeles greater area. It's not going to LA.
Is it happening?
Rancho Cucamonga. It's supposed to be, and like, there's really good pushes for it. I'll tell you something after the podcast. I think a lot of it's just I moved from Idaho to California, so like the concept of public transit was just kind of non-existent in my world beforehand. But do you think there's any like reasonably short timeline, like 20 years, that like private car ownership outside of just like leisurely activity is obsolete?
I don't know, because, you know, if you look at like Japan, for example, they have incredible public infrastructure. You can get around everywhere for stupid cheap. Far distances is expensive, like riding on the bullet trains is pricey, but like locally, like within a city, like you can get anywhere for $1 or $2, which is awesome. But they also have car culture, right? Like they still have busy streets. So both exist in harmony there. Why not here? I so wish we had better public transport options.
I know. That's kind of like the ideal, because like obviously I own a website and have been making a career out of cars the past 10 years. I don't want them to go away, I should specify. But I mean, having an alternative is just sort of ideal, and it's Japan seems to have landed on like the perfect balance of it, where you can still go have fun with your car if you want to, but like, you know.
And it is expensive there. Like, I remember I drove from Tokyo to Mount Fuji, and I want to say I spent like $100 in tolls just to go like a couple hours. It was like, whoa, that's rough, because I mean, at that point, you just get on a train and the whole thing's paid for. And you don't have to have a rental car and the gas and everything else. Also, funny story, I drove down the sidewalk, because you drive on the opposite side in Japan, right? And so I was trying to get to a gas station. I'm running out of gas, and I see this gas station. I don't know how to get into it. So I drove down a sidewalk. And all of the people at the gas station were actually cracking up, which I love, because I was like, would they, like, I don't know. I feel like in America, we would get really mad if we saw a tourist driving down a public sidewalk to get into a gas station. Like we'd be like running over to murder them. And all these gas station attendants were just like pointing and laughing and having a great time. And I was like, oh, this is hilarious because I am clueless and they are like okay with it. So I finally get in. None of them speak any English. So they fill up the car. I pay them. And I'm trying to like joke with them now because like, oh, we bonded over this moment where I'm an idiot. And so I was like, do I leave that way? And I'm like, I'm going to drive that way. And it was through the entrance because I wanted them to think that I was still clueless, but like it was a joke. And like, because of the language barrier, it like sarcasm just did not work at all. They're like, no, you've already done this once. Go out this way. And it's like, okay, all right, my bad. I now it's not the appropriate time to be joking.
What's funny is the first time you said I drove down a sidewalk, I underreacted because I just thought you meant like alongside it, and we're going to be telling a story about that.
The entire car was on because the public walking spaces are very wide,
right?
So you can easily fit a car on it and have space on left and right side. So I'm just driving down a sidewalk to get to a gas station like an idiot.
The way you were saying that too made it sound like you were justifying it was on purpose. You can fit a car there, so I did.
I genuinely did think it was a road.
That's awesome, dude. That's like my worst nightmare. Shane and I are talking about going to New Zealand, and I'm like just thinking about trying to drive on the wrong side of the road. Like I'm going to do something wrong.
New Zealand is very easy to drive in. What I will say is don't speed because you will never see cops. And I thought, oh, there's literally no cops here. So I was speeding a lot, and I got a ticket when I came home in the mail that was like, they have camera traps. And I have no idea where it was, but they got me. And I was like, oh, dang. But it feels so warranted because you'll see road forever, and there's nobody. And you're like, what am I going to do? Drive 100 kilometers per hour? Are you kidding me? Like, I got sheep to see.
I'm from America.
Yeah, exactly.
We do 90.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah, so it wasn't.
Was the ticket expensive?
I don't think it was that bad. But I will say driving there is very easy. Like Tokyo, if you want a stressful experience, drive on the wrong side in a very dense city. If you want a pleasant experience, New Zealand is definitely one of the most pleasant wrong side of the road driving scenarios.
Okay.
I also really liked South Africa. I'm trying to think if that's the correct side or the wrong side. I think it's the wrong side. I say correct as if America is the right way.
Well, I mean, it is kind of surprising how many countries drive on the same side as we do. You would think that we're like completely alone in this, but it's actually...
Yeah, and you can like drive through countries and then switch, and it's like, oh God.
Yeah, that's nightmare fuel, dude. I've driven a couple right-hand drive cars in the U.S., and I drive straight up the middle of the road. It's great.
So you've never driven on the wrong side until this point?
No.
Okay. Man, it's... the first time I did it was in an Aston Martin Vanquish, and I curbed it, and I was like, dang. It's like, this is rough. And then I had to go tell the Aston Martin guy, I was like, I just ruined full circle, ruined your entire wheel. And he was like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. And I was like, oh, this is more serious than I expected. I was like, well, I'm ready to pay for it. How much is a wheel? And he's like, dude, I'm messing with you. Yeah, he's like, every American that comes and drives our cars, they always trash our wheels. And I'm like, oh, dang, dude, I'm sorry.
That's awesome.
I don't want to be lumped in with all of them.
Dude, I have not yet had an experience where I did like any, we'll say, reasonably substantial damage to a car, and it freaks me out all of the time. I had one car in particular that had a carbon fiber front splitter that was very, very expensive.
Yes.
And it, how do I say this without revealing what it was? It's quite low, and I was pulling out of just a normal parking lot, and it scraped just a little bit. Yep. And I was like, oh no. And I went and felt it, and I looked it up, and I think it was like $40,000 for the front splitter.
God, yeah.
But fortunately, I opened the door. Again, the doors open up. There's only like one car I've written a review about that this is the case, but a large automotive outlet had just had it before me, and they had it on a racetrack, and there was that like carbon ground effects all the way around the car, and on the bottom of the door there was like a 15-inch long scratch that was like half an inch deep, and I was like, okay, I don't feel as bad now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they see some stuff for sure.
Oh yeah. Okay. God, I'm gonna have to, dude.
And we're back.
And
no, it's good. You gotta. Yeah, there has to be some transition. Okay, is a good word.
Yeah, I guess you're right. All right, you sort of deal in treacherous waters sometimes, where you present facts about certain things that people really don't want to believe are facts.
I love these. I love these. Yeah, these are great. All right, I'm ready.
What is like a really common myth or misunderstood fact that you wish people would just like fully comprehend? Then there's people that just absolutely refuse.
Okay. I think there's several that I think people think are far more powerful than they really are. So, all right, here's an example. Wide tires equals more grip. And so people, like, placebo effect is real. Like, we all need to start with that knowledge, right? Like, placebo effect is real. If you believe something, it can be your reality. And so if you get a new car and then you put it on wider tires and you say, now it grips better, like, you're just believing what you've told yourself, right? And like, that's real. Like, you will do that. But like, if you go and measure it, a wider tire just makes such a small difference, especially for public roads. Like, you have to push it really hard if you're going to get like a measurable difference. And so I think a lot of people think like, oh, I'll go big wide tire and that means more grip. Meanwhile, like, which tire you pick is magnitudes so much more powerful. Like, get a solid high performance summer tire at a 205 and it will smoke a 305 all season, all day long.
Right.
So I think people put a little too much weight in wide tires, thinking it's like creating this incredible performance benefit for the car. It helps. And that's why you'll see wide tires on high performance cars. Like, there is a benefit. It's just smaller than you think. Another one is like, people love stiff suspensions, and like, I've been guilty of this. Like, my Integra, I trashed it with coilovers and it absolutely ruined the ride quality. And then people say like, oh, it's on rails now, and it's like, no, it has less grip than it did before because the suspension is way too stiff, and now it doesn't actually adhere to any like road undulations. It just lifts the entire car up and down. So like, stiffer does not equal better. I feel like so often cars are just modified without data. And so I really respect companies that like put that data at the front and say like, look, like, we made this change. Here's what compromise it makes. And here's what improvement we saw. Now, like, of course, you have to be careful with like, hey, is this company just trying to sell me something, or is it real? But like, I think just like data-based decision-making, if your goal is to be faster, right? Like, if your goal is to look pretty, who cares? Do whatever you want. Like, do whatever you want. But if you're saying the reason why I am doing this is to make my car faster, it's like, we should probably try and find some data for that. Hydrogen is another huge one that's just really annoying because it's the same story, and it's like, why not hydrogen? And it's like, because it takes up too much space. Like, it's that simple of an answer. It takes up too much space. Yeah.
Yeah. The suspension thing is really interesting when I think like a really good, I mean, obviously it's wildly expensive, but like the articulating suspension that the Taycan has is like a perfect example of the stiff ride quality not being directly proportional to more grip, because they ride great, but they also just like, it's all about point of contact, period. That's why like the suspension will like actively push down if it detects like a dip in the road. So if you're going over that same dip in something that's got the stiffness of cut springs, the wheels, not going to be touching the ground or putting the weight down properly. And that is sort of a thing, like you said, a lot of people don't really take time to consider. But
yeah, I mean, that was like a big talking point with the ND Miata is like, oh, it's too soft. And it's like, no, it has mechanical grip. Like, look at the numbers.
Right.
It's not like the suspension is great. Yeah, man.
But if I put eBay coilovers on it, it would have more.
You're right. It would. There's a lot of these. I mean, you can pick like pretty much any part. Like, I don't know, forged equals better. Like, does it always? I mean, a lot of times probably yes, but like, it not necessarily. Like, not if it's like if the wheel isn't very stiff because it's like too small. Okay, then you lose that. If you look at brakes, like bigger brakes equals like better stopping power. It's like, no. Oh, here it is. I have it. This is the one that this is the one that drives me the most crazy. And people, even in my video about it, they're like, dude, I've never seen you this angry. People who say threshold braking is better than ABS. This breaks me. And I even had a conversation with Ben Collins, the Stig, and I was like, do you think you can brake better than ABS? And he was like, yes. And I'm like, I disagree with you immediately, sir. Like, you cannot beat ABS. You cannot beat it. You cannot beat it. And everyone listening right now is like, yes, I can. And it's like, no, you can't. You cannot. If ABS was allowed in Formula One, every single driver would use it. Every single driver. You see how often they lock up? These are the best drivers in the world, and they lock up all the time. You think they don't want ABS? They'd love it. It would make their lives so easy. They'd go so deep into these braking zones, but they can't do that because they have to be conscious of every single tire with 1 foot. You have 1 foot and 4 tires, and you need to figure that out. Whereas a computer has 4 feet and 4 tires. It's so much easier for it.
Dude, that reminded me of this, like, pulling the pit of memories out of my like early 20s car culture. When I was going to car meets and stuff a lot, there was this guy who had I won't even say what car he has, but he, just in case he happens to find this, he pulled the ABS fuse, and he's like,
threshold braking's better.
Well, the craziest part was he specifically cited that he wants it in slippery conditions because he's like, I don't want it to mess around, like screwing around too much. I just want it to stop. I was like, what are you talking about? That's crazy.
If the roads are wet, I don't want ABS.
Yeah.
Get that out of here. Ensure lockup.
I want my car to stop, not surge.
No, it's funny actually. So when I was doing this video with Continental, we had a PT Cruiser and the ABS didn't work. And we were trying to do a comparison between a PT Cruiser on decent tires, like a solid premium, like touring tire, versus a BMW on cheap summer tires. And just illustrating the point, like whatever car you have, if you put the wrong tires on it, it's trash. And so this BMW's getting spanked by this PT Cruiser. But the PT Cruiser didn't have ABS. And so we're like, okay, we want to show a difference in the braking distances, but we don't have ABS. So we were trying again and again and again in this wet path that they have set up for their wet brake testing. And like, it is just, again, you have 1 foot and you're supposed to make sure that all of them don't lock up. A really interesting, and so eventually they were able to get the ABS working, and it dramatically improves the braking distance. And these are like professionals, right? This is what they do. Like, they drive and they do this brake test on this specific like setup all day, like all the time, and they can't do it. Like, quit telling me that you think your threshold braking is Lewis Hamilton, and even he would do better with ABS. I am confident in that. Another fun example of this was I did an event with Toyota, and they were doing snow braking with and without ABS. And what's really interesting is the method in which you do it. I've always heard pump, and I didn't quite understand why do they say like, oh, you need to pump, like, okay, it locks and you don't want it to lock, so you have to release. But what you're doing is you're going all the way to ensure that all 4 wheels lock up. Because if you just go in and you just say, okay, I'm going to threshold brake with no ABS in snow, well, you're only going to lock 1 wheel first, right? Like whichever tire has the least amount of grip, that one locks first. then you start to slide because one wheel has lost grip. So the best way to do it without ABS, and we like showed this and proved it. It was really cool to see and experienced it driving it. You want all four to lock up, you release. You want all four to lock up, you release. And that it keeps you in a straight path. So you're not getting diverted one way or the other. And it turns out the stopping distance is actually like insanely good. So we were getting really close. I mean, ABS obviously won, but we were getting really close. In certain scenarios like snow, a full lockup will actually stop you quicker. Same on gravel, same on like dirt, where you build up a pile in front of the tire. Doesn't work on pavement, so ABS always wins on pavement. But we were getting really close with, idiots that are just trying this for the first time to ABS, just with that pumping method where you get all four to lock and then you release. And it's really cool to experience.
That's crazy. I don't know that like in a situation where I'm about to slide into a parked car or something that I'm going to remember. But
and it's the cadence of it is so important too. Like it's so easy to do it wrong because so there's an instructor watching you and he's guiding you through it. And then you come back around and you have like a long way to get back to the start, right? I could do it perfectly when there was no instructor watching. But then when there's the pressure of like, all right, Jason, all eyes on you, go. And you're like, if your cadence is just slightly off, you just keep sliding, like it holds it locked up. So you really have to be patient. You press in, you feel it lock, you release, you patient, you're waiting, and you're like, I'm about to hit something. I need to get back on the brakes. Like that's what your brain is telling you.
Right.
And meanwhile, like, no, wait, let that brake pressure release a bit. Let all four start to rotate a bit and then get right back on it. And you find the timing. And once you find it, like it's really powerful in how quickly you can stop, but it's very difficult. Hence, we all have ABS and we can drive like heroes.
Dang. Now I want to try that. That's
crazy. No, it's really cool. The driving experience, winter driving experience in Steamboat, they let you test with and without ABS, and it is such a cool test.
All right. I'll put that on the calendar.
Yeah.
Okay. Transition time. I've got one last question for you. What is, in your opinion, from pure driving standpoint, forget about price, what is the best new car that you can buy right now for the 2025 model year?
911 ST.
Ooh, yeah. I half expected you to just say GR Corolla. You're like, forget it. Forget everything else.
I mean, I am a realistic person and I take price into consideration. So like most fun per dollar, Miata all day, but money is not an object all of a sudden. And now I haven't driven everything, right? Like I haven't driven the crazy exotics out there. I bet like the T50, Gordon Murray T50, it's probably fun to drive. Like, let's be honest. It's a V12, naturally aspirated, manual transmission, 2,500 pounds. Like, are you kidding me? That's probably as good as it gets. But I haven't driven it, and so I don't want to speak to things that I don't know. And 911 ST was one of those cars that you just get in it and you're like, what? Like, it takes 1 minute, 2 minutes, and all of a sudden you're like, what? Like, you have to retrain how you drive because everything is so responsive. Like, we're used to all these modern cars and like everything's dull. There's like a lack in response time and you can be lazy with it. Especially me, because I came out of a Crosstrek that I've been driving for 8 years. And all your inputs, you say, hey, Crosstrek, I'm thinking in a couple miles we need to turn right. Like, I'm going to start turning this wheel. And it's like, I got you, man. Like, we're going to be there. And you shift gears. Like, rev hang's just there for days, with the Crosstrek. Right. And you're like, all right, it's all right. I'll just keep my foot in the clutch. I'll let off. We're chilling. Okay. It's starting to drop. All right. Shift gear, clutch out, and we're back to it.
Yep.
So you then get in the ST and like, the second you push that clutch in, like 0 RPM, you're like, what? I didn't do anything yet. Like, how? You have to be so fast. But again, other direction, like you're downshift and you want a rev match, it's just like, bop. Like, it's crazy how responsive that car is. And that I think is like on the spectrum of like what makes me happy in driving a car. Like responsiveness is for sure up there at the top. And everything about that car is just the instant you ask for it, you get it. So much so that like truly I was not good enough for that car, but I loved that because it was like this is like aspirational. Like I can get in this thing and it makes me want to drive better versus I get in a Crosstrek and it forces me to drive worse so that it feels better, right? So it's like, I want a car that forces me to drive better. I feel like the S2000 was that way a bit. And that it was like crazy responsive. It penalized you for driving poorly. And the 911 ST definitely does like penalize you for driving poorly. Like it'll be rougher. But when you get it right, it's like everything is just there for the driver and it's exceptional. So yeah, 10 out of 10, 911 ST. How much are they?
Dude, it doesn't even matter. You can't get one.
I know. Yeah, you can't get one anyways.
That's such a bummer. Same with the 718 Spider RS. Like allocations are gone. You'll never touch one unless you're ready to pay like 200,000 over sticker on Bring a Trailer.
Yep.
And it's, I mean, probably not to the same extent. I've driven neither, but like I've driven 718s and I've been obsessed with the GT4 RS. And admittedly, seeing Matt Farah's 718 Spider in person kind of made me fall in love with those cars.
He killed it. That does seem like one of the best driver's cars, period, that he had built. Yeah.
Yeah, that thing is flawless. It's built twice, we'll say. But the first one's at the bottom of the ocean.
So there is another one.
Yeah, that's true. So you're
but
saying
it hasn't been
chance.
like bored out with the transmission, the gear swaps, and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
But I'm just like, it's like the 718 on the whole is kind of like a, we'll say, reasonably affordable barrier of entry to like an amazing driving car. So that the fact that they're like, sorry, we're not making any more of these. I'm just like, God, that's such a bummer because that car would be, and it's not like that particular one, like the GT4 RS is also not reasonably priced by the normal person standards. But yeah, I'm just like, man, why do I have to be rich to have the cool stuff?
No, it is a shame. Like that 4-liter engine, it's just, oh man, it's so good. It's so good. And it's like, dang, like, I don't know. We like hype up like V12s, but like somehow with just 6 cylinders, like that engine is just pure magic.
Yeah, I've actually never even driven the 6-cylinder 718s. I've only driven the turbo ones, which I'm a big turbo enthusiast, but I know you like a naturally aspirated.
Not, but actually I'm trying, I might be trying to make a video on like, how we've gotten around this, because I don't like turbos because I think response is everything. But what I think is cool is like GR Corolla, for example, has incredible throttle control. And I just think it is so unique in that like, oh, you want like 2 PSI boost, like chink, it just like sticks right there. Like wherever your foot is, like, yes, there's a delay in getting to that point if it's high boost, but like it just sits there. And it's like, wow, they've done this so well. And I was chatting with one of the engineers for Cadillac Celestiq, as well as, which it's like, what does that have to do with anything? Corvette. And I was at the Celestiq event when I was chatting with an engineer who also works on Corvette, and he was saying that there's several technologies that in unison allow modern turbos to just be so perfectly controlled. Not just one thing, but several technologies together. And so I'm like, okay, I want to chat about this with you. So at some point I'm trying to make a video on like why modern turbos are actually like really good at throttle control, which is something that they have not been good at. So yeah, especially in that like awkward phase of we went from a mechanical throttle to a fly-by-wire throttle. So now it's like your foot doesn't really have the control that it did once, but you're seeing even weirder things where I only gave it 50%, but I'm at full boost. Like, what's going on? That kind of thing drives me nuts. And so we've gotten over that phase, and like modern turbos are like really well controlled. And it's like, okay, well, how did we do this? Because I didn't like them for a really long time, and now I feel like we're getting back into the phase where it's like, all right, they're cool again.
Dude, yeah, it's really interesting to like have like grown with the technology, because I've built turbo cars, like cheap Hondas and stuff. So going from like a half-assed built turbo Volvo or turbo Honda to my Fiesta ST in 2018, I was like, dude, the response is crazy. And now, like when I drove a GR Corolla, I was like, oh my God, the ST has so much turbo lag. This thing sucks. Get me a GR Corolla. So
Yeah.
it is really interesting. I really want to drive the hybrid turbo 911 too, because that is
Ooh, yes.
quite a solution. I'm very curious about
that
it.
is really cool. That is really cool. Yeah. Electric turbo, it seems sweet. And they only added, I think, 100 pounds. I forget what it was.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a huge, I mean, usually it's like such a disappointing number. M4.
Right.
But,
all right. Well,
it just added 1,000 pounds. Anyways, I've been
think
rude to BMW this round. I'm sorry, BMW.
that's awesome. Well, we'll just have you back on for an apology episode in a few weeks. Thank you so much for joining me, Jason. I appreciate you always being ride or die for my my dumb concepts that I'm trying to throw around. So
I think it's great. I had a great time. Always great to chat with you, Braden.
Come a long way since the single USB condenser mic on my kitchen table, right?
Just talking Taylor Swift for an hour.
Like, dude, I re-listened to that just cause it was like 20 minutes where we did talk about.
Like, I wonder why this flopped.
The funny part is that's on Spotify. Like, I don't remember what host it has. I can't make any changes to that. That's forever available.
Oh God, it's like MySpace. It's like, I don't know my password. It's out there.
Yeah, dude, I got a cease and desist for that thing too. I'll tell you more about that afterwards. Right. But you know about it. I've talked about this. Yep. Okay. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to Rev Reflection. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe, hit the like button, and if you're listening to this elsewhere, I don't know what you do with podcasts. You leave me a rating, I guess.
Give them 6 stars.
Yeah, if you can. I have another podcast that has almost 100 episodes. You'd think I'd know, but I don't. Anyway, thanks for being here, Jason.
Of course,
thanks for
happy
watching.
to.